The Jets have a secret weapon in Malachi Corley, and offensive play caller Todd Downing has revealed why Corley has been yet to get significant playing time, or really any playing time, with the New York Jets whatsoever, and we're going to break it down. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris and Matt here, and we're going to jump right into the video, as always, guys, but also, as always, or mostly, 10, almost 11% of you guys are subscribed to the channel. The numbers are going up, but make sure to subscribe. It helps us out a lot more than you guys can ever know. But let's jump right into the story. We're here to talk about football, not about numbers. So, here's the deal. Todd Downing spoke out on Malachi Corley, the Jets' third-round rookie, saying that I was a big fan of Malachi in college and did some work on him, peeking through cross-references with quarterbacks, things like that. He's a dynamic guy with the ball in his hands. I think he's maturing and understanding that this game is a profession and that it's not like college where you show up and you're the best guy in your team and things always go your way. And I think it's been great to watch him handle that maturation process by leaving on some veterans and him getting advice, or by leaning on some veterans and getting advice from them. I mean, here's the deal with Malachi Corley, and if anyone's been following the Jets, they realize it. Corley was picked in the third round. He's someone the Jets clearly liked because they used a high enough draft pick on him when they could have went elsewhere, obviously, if they chose. But they went with Corley, someone who, Matt, you were a massive fan of in the draft. And just breaking this all down, I mean, it feels like obviously the Jets weren't like, okay, let's pick a wide receiver in the third round and never let him touch the field. But Todd Downing did have a lot of positive things to say on him. Now, obviously, he could just be saying that because say Malachi Corley sucks. Like, let's just fantasy world. I'm not saying Malachi Corley is bad. Do not come at me in the comments. Fantasy world where Malachi Corley just isn't good. We're living in that world for a moment. Todd Downing's not going to be like, well, yeah, here's the deal, guys. He's terrible at football. No, he's not going to do that. He's going to still prop Corley up. That's what coaches do to the media if they're not stupid. And clearly Todd Downing's not going to go out there and just hate on Corley, regardless of how Corley is performing. And Matt, I mean, you're a big Corley guy. I like the pick, don't get me wrong. The Jets obviously have a pretty deep wide receiver room right now, which does make some sense. But there are guys at the back of that receiving room, specifically Xavier Gipson, where it's like, why is Corley not ever touching the field?
Yeah, so the Jets clearly were excited about Malachi Corley because if you watch the behind the scenes in the draft room, Joe Douglas, when the Colts took Adonai Mitchell, another wide receiver, he was pumping his fist. He was so excited that his guy, Malachi Corley, was not taken off the board. And when they got him, they were fist bumping, they were high-fiving, they were very excited to get Malachi integrated into the Jets program. And what Malachi is supposed to bring to the team is yak. He's going to be screen passes, he's going to be design touches, and he's going to be able to move the ball down the field with it in his hands. He struggles running routes. He has to learn how to run routes because Western Kentucky, his alma mater, where he was drafted out of in the third round by the Jets, they didn't ask him to run a lot of routes. Like Todd Downing said, he was the best player on the field pretty much by a wide margin against all of his teammates and against a lot of the teams that they played in their conference. He had a great game against Ohio State, which showed the fact that he could stand up with these top-end talented guys. So many Ohio State defenders are going to be taken in the first round, have been taken in the first round, and will continue to be taken in the first round. And Malachi Corley was able to run on them. He was tough to bring down. He is someone who's going to function sort of like a Deebo Samuel for the New York Jets. If you watch San Francisco, Deebo Samuel gets handoffs in the backfield. He gets a lot of wide receiver screen passes. He gets a lot of just drag routes, short routes where he catches it and he makes a play himself. He's not going to run up the field, spin around, shake down a cornerback. He's going to catch the ball in the flat, and he's going to try to run around the cornerback. Or, in Malachi's case, he likes to run through them, and it's awesome to see. I was excited about the pick because I feel like this is a dimension that the Jets offense doesn't have yet. Garrett Wilson, more of a finesse guy. He's pretty good after the catch as well, but Braylon Allen brings that run right through you. But I want to see it come from the wide receiver position as well, because I feel like that's something that not a lot of teams have. And the 49ers are the team that has the best example of it. And they've had a great offense for the past couple of years. Deebo Samuel has been to the Super Bowl with the 49ers twice. So and if you look at the advanced stats for the 49ers, they are a much, much, much better offense when Deebo Samuel is on the field. A lot of that comes from their genius head coach, play caller Kyle Shanahan, calling great plays for Deebo Samuel when he is healthy. But Malachi Corley, he could be the same thing for the Jets. I really want to see what the idea is for him. And looking at these comments, they're not super surprising. He said he's not ready to play. And that can happen when you get a guy from a group of 5 school. He is not always going to be ready for the big time. We're hoping that he can develop into someone who is ready for the big time. But I really do think he could potentially take Xavier Gibson's minutes or snaps. I'm thinking of basketball. He'll take his snaps because Irvin Charles, we have a deep wide receiver room. Irvin Charles, our wide receiver 6, is not going anywhere because of what he brings to the special teams. He had a punt block against the Tennessee Titans, and he's had a bunch of great tackles on punt returns, on kickoffs. He's a great special teams player. He is not going anywhere. His job is completely safe. It would be Xavier Gibson who he would replace. And one thing we're a little bit concerned about with these comments by Todd Downing is the fact that he's talking about how Malachi Corley needs to be a professional. And he was talking about, what's that word, Chris? When you're maturity. He's talking about that. And that's a little bit scary because that might be some maybe off the field. He's not completely bought in. There was a guy also taken in the 3rd round by the Bengals named Jermaine Burton, who he was supposed to have maturity issues as well. I'm not going to say as well because Malachi Corley wasn't supposed to have maturity issues. That guy, they said he's been sleeping through meetings, showing up to practice late, running his own routes. And that's really scary out of a guy that they drafted in the 3rd round who has a ton of talent. So Malachi Corley, I really hope that he has the mental stuff that it takes to be a professional athlete. Because, Chris, we talk about it all the time. It's not just being good, just being talented. It's not the whole deal in the NFL. You're getting a ton of money. You're famous. You got to have a way to balance all aspects of your life. You're not just a football player anymore. In college, you can make some mistakes and maybe the coach can cover it up. Maybe the school will cover it up. But in the NFL, especially when you're not a star player, the team doesn't have a reason to cover that up for you anymore, or as big of a reason. And the media, there's more of a spotlight on you there because Western Kentucky is, Western Kentucky, and the New York Jets are the New York Jets. So we're hoping that that's not an issue. It hasn't been an issue in the past. Maybe we're reading too far into these comments by Todd Downing, but once he's on the field, and I'm positive he's going to be on the field within the next 4 to 5 to 6 weeks here, I'm excited to see what he can bring to the New York Jets offense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited about it, and the fact that I want to say Connor Hughes, though he's he's SNY's insider for the Jets. Todd Downing, mentioning maturity there definitely is a sign of something. It's just, he's saying that Malachi's doing well with maturity and stuff. It feels like this is one of those things where we talked about it, how Devontae called out the locker room. This feels like one of those situations where having Devontae Adams there is definitely going to be helpful for Corley. Especially because Adams, yeah, he's a great athlete. Don't get me wrong. He's in the NFL, and he's more athletic than many NFL players. It's like Corley, as you mentioned, he's a Deebo Samuel type player. Now, obviously, that's much different from who Devontae Adams is. But Adams isn't there to be some massive speed threat also. It feels like Corley can learn a lot from Devontae Adams here. And it seems like Adams is willing to take on a role to be a mentor at times. Because we know Devontae and co want to do whatever it takes to get the Jets into the playoffs and to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 seasons. That's all their window is. So it becomes this situation where you have to imagine having a veteran superstar in there like Devontae Adams is going to have a ton of positive impact on Malachi Corley and the Jets. And any young receiver they bring in outside of that. Also, Lazard's a veteran. They have a lot of guys who have been around the block for a bit now, and hopefully Corley's being a sponge with that. As you mentioned, colleges will cover some stuff up if you're the best player. Corley is not the best player on the field. When he came into the NFL, him and so many other guys drafted were the best player on their team. That's not the case anymore. You now have to be the guy who works the hardest or studies film the most, or really just in general, you just have to take hard work to a completely new level that you've never seen before because it's your job now. And it's not college. It's not you're going to school, you're playing football, you're hanging out with your friends. No, this is your profession. This is your job. As I keep wanting to call him Connor Hughes, as Todd Downing mentioned, he said it's a profession. And he's right. If Malachi Corley doesn't want to show up and do his job right, Like, imagine for us. Say I just start showing up. I'm lazy to stuff. I'm like, yeah, let me just hit the wrong button right here, which I know I do sometimes, but what if I just kept doing it and kept veering off, and when you're talking to me, I'm just like falling asleep, or I'm just like not focused, or I'm like on my phone just texting or something. Then you wouldn't want to work with me, obviously. Like, it's the same deal. You go to your job, you perform badly, you're in danger of losing your job. It's, especially if you're not working hard. If you're doing not the best, but you're working hard, you get a bit more leeway, but eventually, you're still going to lose your job. So Corley has to go out there and be a pro, and obviously there's no sign that he's not, so I don't want to make it seem like he is or something, but hopefully Malachi Corley is doing everything that he has to do, and I think let's fantasy world it and say that he wasn't. Having Davante Adams here, in my mind, is going to help him out a lot, Matt.
It doesn't matter that Davante Adams isn't the same type of wide receiver that Malachi Corley is, because what we need Davante Adams to do is not teach him how to play wide receiver. It's to teach him to be a professional wide receiver in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So yeah. A lot of wide receivers get that diva tag, and a lot of them are. A lot of the top wide receivers, they're, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. And if you don't give me the ball, I'm going to make it a problem. Malachi, I don't anticipate him being that type of guy, but hey, there's a reason why this guy has not seen the field yet. And it could be his talent level. It could be maturity issues. Hopefully we see him here pretty soon, Chris.
I think we will. I agree with you. In the next couple of weeks, we'll definitely see Corley get some burn on the field, and I'm looking forward to that. Guys, let us know what you think in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Jets. Quick outro.